Welcome to another deep dive where we're going to try to unlock the secrets of your brain to help you become a master decision maker.
Ooh, I like that. Who wouldn't want to make better decisions, especially instantly?
Right, and getting ready for this, I was so struck by just how many of our decisions, both big and small, are influenced by these kind of hidden processes that are happening inside our brains.
Yeah.
So we're going to be digging into an article all about this called How to Make Better Decisions Instantly. Brain science hack. And I think based on your notes, some of these brain hacks might be particularly relevant to you.
Well, I'm all ears. But before we get to the hacks themselves, I think it's helpful to understand how our brains actually work when we're making choices.
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to think of decision-making as this purely logical process.
Right.
Weighing the pros and cons, being all rational. But neuroscience paints a much more complex picture.
That was the most fascinating thing to me, is that there's almost like this committee of decision makers in our heads.
Right.
And they each have their own agenda.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
So we have, for example, the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive function center of the brain.
Okay.
And it handles logic and planning. You can think of it as the CEO of your brain, carefully analyzing all the options.
So that's the part that's making pro and con lists.
Exactly.
Okay, trying to be all rational.
Yeah.
But then what about those times where you make decisions based purely on a gut instinct?
Right. Well, that's where the amygdala comes in.
Okay.
It's the emotional center of the brain, particularly attuned to fear and threat. It's there to protect us from danger.
Right.
But it can also lead us to make some impulsive decisions.
It's like the voice that screams run when you're just watching a scary movie,
Exactly.
even though you're safe on your couch.
Exactly. And then we also have the striatum, which is all about habits and routines. It's the part of your brain that loves to go on autopilot, letting you make choices without really even having to think about it too much.
So that explains why I get the same coffee order every morning, even though there's a million other things on the menu.
Yeah. You don't even have to think about it. You walk in, you say the same thing.
Totally.
Now, what's fascinating is that effective decision-making isn't about just using one of these brain areas.
Right.
It's about finding a balance between logic, intuition, and habit.
That reminds me of a study that you had mentioned by Damasio from back in 1994,
Right.
showing that people who had damage to the emotional centers of their brains really struggled to make even simple decisions.
Yeah.
And even though their logical reasoning was intact, they were stuck in this loop of endless analysis
Right.
because they didn't have that emotional input.
It really highlights how our emotions play a crucial role in decision-making.
Yeah.
It's not that we want to make decisions solely based on our emotions, but they provide us with valuable information about our values, our preferences, our gut feelings about potential risks.
So it's about understanding how they're influencing us.
Exact.
And then using that knowledge.
Yeah.
Which leads us to, I think, something that we all experience, which is these mental traps that can sometimes sabotage our decision-making abilities.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like our brains are almost wired to kind of trip us up sometimes,
Right.
even when we're trying to make the best choices.
Yeah, and one of the most common traps that I see is what's called decision fatigue.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
I think so.
So it's basically the idea that every choice we make, even the small ones, uses up mental energy.
Okay.
So you can imagine as the day goes on and we're constantly bombarded with decisions,
Right.
our brains just get exhausted.
It's like that feeling at the end of the day when you just can't even decide what to have for dinner.
Exactly.
You're just like,
Yeah.
everything's overwhelming.
Yeah, you just want to order takeout and just forget about it.
Yeah, totally.
But the research on this is really interesting. There was a study done back in 1998 by Baumeister and colleagues,
Okay.
and they found that judges were actually more likely to deny parole later in the day, possibly because they were mentally drained from making so many decisions throughout the day.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about feeling tired, it's that you're actually making poorer judgments.
Yeah, the quality of your decisions goes down,
Wow.
and you're more likely to make impulsive choices.
I see that.
I know in your notes you mentioned that you often find yourself making impulse purchases online late at night. Yeah, so that's a classic example of decision fatigue in action.
My willpower just goes out the window after like 9 p.m.
Right, exactly.
So what can I do to kind of combat that?
Well, one really effective strategy is to try to front load your most important decisions earlier in the day,
Okay.
when your brain is still fresh.
Yeah.
So instead of, browsing online stores at night, maybe dedicate some time in the morning
Okay.
to make any necessary purchases. And just in general, try to reduce the number of decisions you have to make throughout the day.
Right.
Things like meal prepping.
Meal prepping.
Or having a capsule wardrobe.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Can really help free up mental energy for the choices that really matter.
That's great advice. I'm going to try that.
Awesome.
Now, what about that feeling of when you're stuck because you have too many options?
Right.
It's like you're paralyzed by the sheer amount of information.
Ah, yes. Classic analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
It's another common trap where we just overthink and overanalyze to the point where we just can't make a decision.
It's like when you're researching a new laptop.
Yeah.
There are just so many brands and models and features.
So many specs.
It's just completely overwhelming.
And the irony is that having more choices doesn't necessarily lead to greater satisfaction.
Really?
There's this great book by Barry Schwartz called The Paradox of Choice.
Okay.
He talks about how having too many options can actually lead to increased anxiety and regret.
It's like the pressure to make the perfect choice is just so intense.
Exactly.
That you just end up feeling paralyzed.
You're frozen.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from this analysis paralysis?
Yeah.
Well, one strategy that I find really helpful is the 80-20 rule.
Okay.
Have you heard of that one?
I have.
Also known as the Pareto principle.
Okay.
And it states that roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes.
Okay.
So in the context of decision-making,
Yeah.
this means that you should really try to focus on the 20% of the factors that are most important to you.
Okay.
So for your laptop example,
Yeah.
instead of getting bogged down in every single spec,
Yeah.
maybe just prioritize things like
Yay.
screen size, processing power, battery life.
Okay.
The things that are really going to make a difference in your day-to-day usage.
Yeah. So it's kind of like narrowing it down to the essentials.
Exactly. Simplify, simplify, simplify.
Okay. And maybe even set a time limit
Yes.
for making the decision.
Love it.
And then once that time is up, you just commit.
You got to commit.
Even if it's not perfect.
Even if it's not perfect, good enough is good enough.
Perfect, good enough is good enough. Okay.
Hmm.
Now let's talk about, I think, another big one, which is fear of regret.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of, what if I regret this later?
The what ifs.
Yeah. What if I make the wrong choice?
Right. It can be so paralyzing.
It can be.
And this often stems from our aversion to loss,
Okay.
which was beautifully illustrated by Tversky and Kahneman's prospect theory
Prospect theory.
back in 1991.
Okay.
And they found that people tend to feel the pain of a loss more strongly than the pleasure of an equivalent gain.
So we're more motivated to avoid something negative than we are to actually get something positive.
Exactly. Loss aversion.
Okay.
It's a powerful force.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it can lead us to stick with the status quo,
Right.
even when it's not serving us well,
Right.
just because we're terrified of making a change and potentially regretting it later.
Yeah.
So you can imagine someone staying in a job they hate
Right.
for years just because they're so afraid of what might happen
Right. Yeah, totally.
if they quit.
Yeah. So how do you get past that then?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to remember that no decision is ever perfect.
Yeah.
There will always be trade-offs.
Yeah.
There's always a chance you might have some regrets.
Yeah.
That's just part of life.
Yeah.
What's important is to focus on making the best decision you can
Right.
with the information you have at the time.
Right. So accepting that there's no perfect decision
Yeah.
and just trying to make the best one.
Good enough is good enough.
Good enough. Yeah.
Another helpful strategy is to ask yourself,
Okay.
will this decision still matter in 5 years?
Oh, that's a good one.
Often, the things we worry about regretting the most
Right.
end up being relatively insignificant
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
So it helps to just kind of zoom out and put things in perspective.
That's a really helpful reminder.
Good.
Okay. So we've talked about some of the mental traps
Yes.
that can kind of sabotage our decision making.
Right.
Now let's get to, I think, the really exciting part, which is the brain hacks. I'm excited about this.
Let's do it.
So let's dive into these brain hacks.
Right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
From what I was reading, the 5-second rule seemed almost too simple to be effective.
Right.
But then I started thinking about all the times where I hesitate before doing something that I know I should just do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe there's something to this.
It's amazing how powerful just like a small shift in thinking can be.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins, who kind of popularized this technique,
Right.
she talks about how that moment of hesitation is often when fear and doubt start to creep in.
Right.
And so by counting down from 5 and then acting immediately,
Yeah.
you're basically interrupting that pattern.
Yeah.
And you're activating your prefrontal cortex.
Oh, so it's like giving your brain a jump start.
Yeah.
Before the negative thoughts can take over.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I noticed in your notes you had mentioned that you sometimes struggle to speak up during meetings,
Yeah.
even when you have good ideas.
It's true. I do sometimes hold back a little bit.
Yeah. So do you think the 5-second rule could help with that?
Absolutely.
That's
I mean, in that moment where I'm hesitating, instead of letting my thoughts spiral,
yeah.
I could try that 5-second rule countdown and then just start talking.
Yeah, just go for it.
Just go for it, yeah.
Override that fear
Or
response.
write it, yeah.
Engage that logical part of your brain.
Yeah.
It's a simple trick,
It
but
work.
it could be really effective.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about second order? Thinking this one sounds a little more complex.
It might sound intimidating, but it's really just about thinking beyond the immediate consequences of a decision.
Okay.
So, kind of like a chess player, you're considering not just your next move, but the moves after that.
Oh, so you're thinking about the ripple effects.
Exactly, the ripple effects.
Of your choices.
Yes.
I can see how that would be super helpful when you're making big decisions.
Huge decisions.
Like you were talking about maybe changing careers.
Yeah.
Like how would you apply second order thinking to that?
Well, let's say you're offered a promotion, but it means longer hours,
Right.
more responsibility.
Right.
So first order thinking might be, yay, more money.
Right. Just focus on the immediate.
The immediate, yeah. But second order thinking would ask, how will this impact my work-life balance?
Right.
Will I still have time for my hobbies and relationships?
Right. The things that actually matter long term.
Exactly. And so then you can make a more informed choice
That's really good.
that considers the long-term impact on your well-being.
I'm adding that to my mental toolkit for sure.
Good.
Okay. What else have we got?
All right. Another helpful framework is the 101-10-10 rule.
Okay.
This one's great for gaining perspective, especially when emotions are running high.
Okay.
So basically you ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes,
Okay.
in 10 months, and in 10 years?
Oh, wow. So you're really zooming out
You're zooming out.
and getting that bigger picture.
Yeah, it helps you detach from the intensity of your immediate feelings.
Right. Because sometimes those immediate feelings can be so strong.
So strong, and they can cloud your judgment. So for example, imagine you're having a conflict at work,
Okay.
and you're tempted to send like a really sheeted email.
Yeah. Been in there.
10 minutes later, you might still feel angry.
Right.
But 10 months later,
It probably won't even matter.
it's probably not going to matter much, and 10 years later, you'll have forgotten all about it.
It's so true. It's like don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions.
Exactly, wise words.
Okay.
Now, this next concept comes from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Have you read it?
I have not.
It's great. It's a really fascinating exploration of how our minds work.
Okay.
And he describes these two systems that our brains use to make decisions.
Two systems.
Two systems, System 1 and System 2.
Oh, okay.
So System 1 is our fast, intuitive system.
Okay.
It's what guides our gut reactions, our everyday choices.
Okay.
System 2 is the slower, more analytical system.
Okay.
It kicks in when we're solving problems, making more complex decisions.
So system 1 is like autopilot
Yes,
and system 2 is like manual mode.
perfect analogy.
Okay.
And so the key is knowing when to use each system.
Okay. So when would you use which?
So for routine tasks or quick decisions, System 1 is great.
Okay.
But for important choices, situations that require more careful thought,
Right.
it's crucial to engage System 2.
So if you're facing a challenging decision at work, like you were mentioning earlier about maybe taking on a new project,
Right.
that's when you want to slow down.
Slow down, engage System 2.
Engage system 2.
Think it through.
Okay.
Weigh the pros and cons, consider the long-term implications, and don't let System 1 rush you into a decision you might regret later.
That's really good advice. I like that.
Okay, good.
And for our final brain hack, let's talk about a technique that can help you anticipate potential problems.
Okay.
It's called the pre-mortem strategy.
The pre-mortem.
Yeah, it sounds a little intense.
It does sound intense, but it's
Yeah.
actually a really powerful way to challenge your assumptions
Okay.
and identify blind spots.
Okay.
So basically, before making a decision, you imagine that it has failed miserably.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you ask yourself, what went wrong?
Okay.
What could I have done differently?
So it's like a mental dress rehearsal.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
For failure. For failure. Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
And by kind of mentally living through those potential downsides,
Yeah.
you can anticipate risks, adjust your plans,
Oh, that's smart.
and come up with backup options.
So you're more prepared?
You're more prepared, exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be really helpful for those like huge life-changing decisions.
Huge decisions.
Like starting a business or making a big investment.
Absolutely. It helps you approach decision-making with more awareness and foresight.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been a jam-packed deep dive into the world of decision-making.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much about how my brain works.
Me too.
And how to make smarter choices.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And the best part is these are all skills that you can actually develop with practice. So for our listeners out there, I would love to leave you with a challenge.
Okay.
What's one decision you've been putting off?
Yeah.
Big or small?
Big or small?
Pick one of these brain hacks.
Give it a try.
And give it a try today and just see how it impacts your decision-making process.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, until next time, keep those brains sharp and those choices smart.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining.